What ho chaps, I'm Magical Mike and I'd like to ask and answer a few questions about the Engineer Elite specialization, the Holosmith. Hopefully I can explain quickly what it does, how it does that thing, and most importantly how it feels, and answer the question, is it fun to play? But first up, let's see if ANET have got the Holosmith's purity of purpose down. Roll of 80!
Holosmiths are engineers who've learned to project the power of light into a semi-solid form. They supplement their technical genius by wielding swords. In their Photon Forge mode, they gain access to powerful new skills. Each skill generates heat, which can cause damage to them as the temperature rises. Their utility skills take advantage of this, gaining greater power when their heat level exceeds a threshold.
I reckon they explained this spec really well in such a short time. If you guys manage to play with the Holosmith, then I'm sure you'll agree as well. So engineers get access to the sword, Photon Forge mode, and utility skills called Exceeds. The sword has an auto attack chain that inflicts some vulnerability and lowers the recharge on other sword skills. Skill 2 launches a tiny projectile, or a few more depending on a certain thing, that does a small amount of damage and doesn't look very impressive, and it bleeds a little bit. And Radiant Arc is a leap ability that gives you quickness. Obviously you can use this then the auto attack to quickly reduce the cooldown on your quickness ability, and those two combo together quite nicely. The Exceed skills are hit and miss for me. Spectrum Shield is a stun break on a 30-second cooldown that halves if you have enough heat, which is a really handy ability. Laser Disc is a flashy ring of blades that does a chunk of damage, and Prime Light Beam, the Elite, is a giant mega laser which is super satisfying to blast stuff with. All of these get tool belt skills as well, apart from your Elite, which is where Photon Forge mode comes into play. Your F5 gets replaced by what's essentially another kit. You can toggle in and out of it on a short cooldown, and it replaces your weapon skills with super powered hologram based abilities. Your auto chain in this mode swings a giant sword around you. Skill 2 is a leap on a 2-second cooldown to close gaps. Skill 3 is a charging AoE blast that builds a chunk of might on you in an explosion. 4 is like a thief unload ability with dual pistols that also burns and pierces, and 5 is a huge shockwave that launches targets straight upwards. These abilities do tons of damage, have flashy skill effects, maybe verging on obnoxious depending on your point of view, and are genuinely satisfying as hell to smash enemies with. So what's the downside, I hear nobody asking? Well, when you're in this mode you generate heat over time, and each of these abilities also generates heat as well. If you build up too much heat, you get kicked out of the Forge mode, locked out for a longer time period than you normally would be, and you take a lot of damage. So it's generally not worth it to push that right to the limit. However, staying above 50% of your heat is a great idea, because sword skills, Exceed skills, and the tool belt abilities gain bonus effects. Like I said before, Spectrum Shield recharges in half the time, and Laser Disc lasts 50% longer if you're above 50% heat. You also gain bonus damage from traits as well, meaning that Holosmith benefits greatly from juggling in and out of Photon Forge mode to keep rolling over enemies with its momentum. Sadly, these bonus effects don't appear on rifle, pistols, or the shield, which means if you want to get the most interaction out of the Holosmith, you're stuck using the sword. Luckily, sword is new and it's fun to use. Engineer has needed a much simpler build to use for quite a while now, and I appreciate this one. I tried a couple of builds out, one condition damage and one power. The power build was able to get some interaction from the explosive traits, and by trading Crystal Configuration Storm, was able to fire explosive projectiles from Photon Forge auto attacks to great effect. The enhanced capacity storage unit Grand Master trait also bumped up power levels of everything it did as well, as long as I managed my heat effectively. The condition damage build was pretty hilarious as well. By using incendiary ammo from the flamethrower, blowtorch from an offhand pistol, trading solar focusing lens and thermal release valve, and by then using all of these in quick succession before jumping into Forge mode and using Photon Blitz and a dodge roll, the enemy would burn to death almost instantly. Definitely a one-trick pony build, but oh so satisfying to land it all. The Holosmith to me is an aggressive powerhouse, and I can't imagine it's going to be easy to run away from a rifle-wielding one in World v. World. Good luck, and don't overheat.
Capacity exceeded.